action of the day. It's Dundee United against Celtic with Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Good afternoon. Fairly miserable, dreich day here in the city of Discovery. But the Celtic supporters have arrived here in party mood. They stand on the brink of their 55th title, 4th in a row and 13th in the last 14 seasons of this unprecedented period of dominance of Scottish football. And they, of course, are hoping to complete a treble as well when they meet Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup final a month today. But standing in their way will be Dundee United, who themselves have plenty to play for between now and the season's end, as they try and find a top 3 finish. They've certainly got their best points tally at the split since 2014. They went on to finish 4th that season, behind Celtic, Motherwell and Aberdeen. But if they can finish 3rd, what a return to the top table at the first time of asking it will have been. But there's no underestimating the size of the challenge facing them here today. They haven't won this fixture in the last 22 meetings. Indeed, their record since then in those 22 games: drawn 5, lost 17, scored just 7 times, conceded 58. And that includes that infamous occasion when Celtic ran 9 unanswered goals past them here a couple of seasons ago that did for Jack Ross during his short stint in charge. The United team for this afternoon: Walton in goal, Strange, Chevy, Adebayoga and Ferry, Campbell, Doherty, Sibbald, Payton, Middleton, Dalby. A win would take them level on points with Hibs. For Celtic, Sinisalo in goal, Johnston, Carter, Vickers, Scales and Taylor, Engels, McGregor, Hatate, Kuhn and Jota, and Daisen Maeda, who's up to 33 goals for the season. So, big occasion for both sides, but before the match there will be a minute's silence in memory of Pope Francis, whose funeral took place at the Vatican this morning. Celtic have won the title at Tannadice previously in 1981. Tommy Burns scoring the eventual winner in a 3-2 victory after goals from McGarvey and McLeod. A Rangers defeated Pittodrie, coupled with a Celtic win here, saw Gordon Strachan's side win the title on the final day in 2008, thanks to a Venegood of Hesseling goal. And then more recently under Ange Postecoglou in 22, with a 1-1 draw, Georgios Giacomakis scored the Celtic goal, Levitt equalising for the hosts that evening. United in the Tangerine and Black will kick off. They're going to shoot up the hill, right to left, as they tend to do in the first half of matches here towards the Shed. Celtic in the green and white hoops will come down the slope towards the Eddie Thompson stand, and referee Don Robertson is about ready to go here. The first post-split action of season 24-25 is underway as Sibbald rolls the ball back to the Croatian Chevy. He goes long with the right foot out to the far side, deep into the Celtic half, but it sails into touch for a throw-in to the visitors. And Paki, the Celtic fans here, as I said, in party mood.
Yeah, they've come up here with an anticipation, really. They failed against St Johnstone in that game to set themselves up at home, but today it's all about getting a result in this game and celebrating, and they've come up here and they're thousands, and they're filled the left-hand side as we sit and be in front of us all the way along that main stand.
Yeah, Maeda's all over Chevy, who's doing some defending over on the right side, manages to bundle it clear up the line to Strain, who's on it, facing his own corner flag. He turns and clears out for a Celtic throw-in. Level with the United 18-yard line over on the far side. The Celtic left. Taylor's throw-in is booted back out for another one by Strain over on the far side. And as we said last week with St Johnstone at Hampden, get through the early stages, you give yourself an opportunity. But of course Celtic scored 4 in just over 10 minutes towards the end of that first half in the Scottish Cup semi-final. It was an absolute roasting in the end, and they took their time to find the net, but when they did, there's no stopping them at that point, and that's what Jim Goodwin will be keen to avoid today.
Yeah, and that's what Brendan Rodgers was reminding his players about, not to get frustrated and keep playing with intensity, a bit of speed, and the opportunities will come. But listen, Dundee United make it always difficult. They'll drop back into that sort of kind of mid to low block, 11 players behind the ball and try to frustrate Celtic and just keep staying in the game. There's a good ball.
Johnston, good ball forward towards Maida. His back heel comes off Chevy. The Celtic fans think it struck his arm inside his own box.
No, his hand was down, his arm was down by his side. It was never a penalty. It was a good run from Maeda, that little sort of run in between the centre halves just to get down the channel, and the ball's played into him. I thought he maybe could have carried it on and tried to get maybe a corner or so on, but he didn't.
United have won their last 3 games 1-0 against Ross County, Hearts and St Johnstone. As Michael was pointing out, the 3rd best defence in the league, as Payton digs it out to Strain over on the right-hand side, just inside Celtic territory. Up the line it goes to Middleton, up against Scales, looks to win the throw. At least he hasn't done so. He's got his arms outstretched in front of the assistant, but it's gone Celtic's way, deep inside their own half. Over there, Greg Taylor will take. Interesting, Packy, to see Kuhn and Jota coming back into the side at the expense of Forrest and Ida. Forrest in particular could be a seminal afternoon for him.
Yeah, he no doubt he'll make an appearance. I think Brendan Rodgers have indicated that the subs will, and he likes to do that anyway, but no, it's a big day for James Forrest. But in saying that, I think he's got to almost try to get Kuhn up to speed again, because he's lost. There's a good ball
he's
from
up
him.
To speed here. Kuhn's ball just skips away from Maida, and Walton drives onto it, holds onto it as well. The big man on loan from Luton Town. He's impressed again this season. Packy's been so important to what Dundee United have achieved so far and are hoping to achieve between now and the Premiership closing for the campaign in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, listen, a lot of players, a lot of young goalkeepers come up from England, to get game time probably up here. I'd like to see a few more Scottish goalkeepers maybe getting an opportunity. And from a Scotland perspective, they need goalkeepers coming through the system. But the English come up and they seem to do well. They're well tuned into what's expected of them, and then game time is hugely important for any young goalkeeper. But he's done it remarkably well.
Celtic have it with Johnston, flashes it into the United half to Kuhn, who's going to try and nick in field here away from Will Ferry. It's still Kuhn, but he's given it straight to Payton. He was back to Docherty. He's clipped it forward well. He was caught. Would have been a foul. The referee's allowing United an advantage here. They're in the Celtic half over on the right, albeit forced back the way. There's Ryan Strain into his own half, and he moves it right to left of the centre circle here for Chevy. Dinks it forward. Dalby's header back the way. Is straight to Ferry, to Payton, out in the right. Strain bends the ball in. It's going to be too much for Sybil to deal with, but it might be picked up by Middleton wide on the left here by the corner flag. Low ball in's poor, cut out by Kuhn as he tried to get it to Alan Campbell. Breaks back to Chevy here. Dink ball forward to the edge of the Celtic box for Sybil on the turn at the left angle. Misunderstanding with Middleton allows Kuhn to slide in and put it out for a throw into United on the near side. Level with the Celtic 6-yard line. United have settled well in the game.
Yeah, they've started well. They're on the front foot. They've got those players, listen, in their team. Craig Sybil is one of them. He's getting into great positions in between the lines, and he's a good link player. And then, of course, Dalby in that box, strong, good in the air.
Long thrown into the box by Ferry, punched away by the two fists of Sinisalo. Middleton heads it towards the Celtic goal, and it's headed clear by Taylor. Scraps picked up by Chevy, right foot ball bent into the Celtic box, just a bit too high for Johnston. Collected on the near side by Docherty. Docherty with a quick cross back into the box. Dalby heads it back to the edge of the area for Campbell, heads it forward towards Dalby. Chance here for United. Flag's gone up anyway. So I wouldn't have counted had Payton been able to side foot it home. Sinisalo blocked it in any case. The flag's up, Celtic free kick, goalless. But as I say, good start by United. We're almost on 6 minutes.
Well, they know that they can, if they work the ball properly in those wide areas and just get the ball into the box, because the big boy Dalby, Sam Dalby up there, he's a handful for any defender. And that time he knocked it back to the edge of the box, and it was a half chance for Dundee United of the second phase when the ball dropped down.
Well, it's going to be a United ball here. Jack Walton is over it. The flag went up against Celtic, so a little bit calm in the early exchanges in the match. It's not been the Tasmanian Devil style start to the match we see from Celtic so often, when they just absolutely run you ragged.
Yeah, listen, I think from that perspective, Dundee United, you've got to give them credit that they have pushed high up the pitch and they put Celtic under a little bit of pressure. They got control of the game a little bit better than Celtic have.
Long ball forward, it's nodded back towards the 18-yard line by Sam Dalby, and it's going to be a header up into the air from Strain. The Celtic clear, bouncing ball in the midfield. Campbell is onto it, looking for Sybil, but McGregor's there and goes back to Carter Vickers, who flights it forward towards Kuhn. The header away by Ferry. Docherty wins the header, and he's actually, Ross Docherty makes such a difference to this United team. They pick up more points when he's in the starting 11 than they do when he's not.
Yeah, and they brought
captain.
Yeah, and they brought Alan Campbell back into the middle of the pitch. You know, he's a warrior, isn't he? He's a terrier. He'll get in and just as long as he keeps his discipline. But that's they will work really hard against that Celtic midfield, and they've stopped so far Celtic getting any control on the ball, because that's where Celtic have their strength. But Callum McGregor in particular getting on the ball, dictating the game.
Atabiega, square ball to Chevy, long ball with the left, looking for Middleton down this near side touchline. Johnston lets it go out for a throw-in to Celtic, and the Canadian is over. This has been another fine season for Alistair Johnston. He's been named in the Scottish PFA Team of the Year. Right back is Maida's header goes straight to Campbell in the midfield. He finds Ferry. He goes back to Chevy into the centre circle. That'll be Yega Nixon ahead of Jota. Turns it out to Strain, wide in the right. He's got a bit of space to work in here, the Aussie. Gets the cross in. Docherty's header's over the bar. Again, it's really good build-up play by Dundee United, and you would have to say the better side in these opening almost 10 minutes, almost 9 at the moment. Yeah,
listen, they've got 4 players in the box that time. You know, Docherty's coming in late, attacking the ball, gets a bang in the face for his efforts, but it was a decent effort. And as soon as they get the ball into those wide areas, once they work it properly, the first thing in their mind is to get that ball. Here's a chance for them.
Dolby at the edge of the box, and then the effort from Payton was a good chance. He hit it with the side foot, and Sinisalo makes a simple save. Down to his left is Payton's shape to find that bottom right corner, and I think he's annoyed he's not got more purchase in the shot.
Yeah, he didn't hit it cleanly. It's sort of almost gone straight at the goalkeeper, and all he do is just palm it down and catch it in the second attempt. But again, getting in, and they know that they can go, because when the ball goes forward to Dalby, it's invariably that he's going to either knock it down or get a header into a space where they can go and attack. So that releases then Docherty, it releases Payton, it releases Craig Sybil to get into those areas.
You remember the 0-0 draw here back in December. Celtic's starting backline that day was Ralston, Welsh, Scales and Taylor. It was a rare start for Stephen Welsh. He's out on loan in Belgium at the moment as Middleton knocks it out for a Celtic throw-in deep inside Celtic territory. The Celtic supporters are decamped in the shed off to the left, all the way around the Jerry Kerr and Fair Play stand down below us, as it hooks round over the tunnel here at Tannadice off to the right. And there will be a throw here which Johnston is over.
Yeah, the problem
here.
Yeah, sorry, the slight problem for Celtic also is that Adamid is not in the team, so they don't have a great target man up front that they can actually go a little bit longer and miss out that sort of kind of almost, you would call it a half press from Dundee United when they push almost 1, 2, 3, 4 players high up the pitch on top of Celtic, miss them out, get it up to their front man, but that's not there for Celtic at the moment.
good performance this by United in these still early stages of the match. Will Ferry's got a long throw on him, and he's going to attempt to wind one up here, but midway inside the Celtic half, pulls it into the box, headed away by Carter Vickers. Johnston with the header out towards the corner flag, then he lumps it up high into the air. Drop down onto the head of Ferry, heads it towards the Celtic 18-yard line, where Carter Vickers heads clear. And it bounces off Maida and out for a United throw-in on this near side.
Yeah, just again, apart from a couple of balls over the top early on, maybe down the channel from Celtic, they haven't been able to settle on the ball at all. And we're now, what, 12 minutes into the game?
And getting to that point yet, no goals as yet, as Campbell battles with Jota on the far side and wins the throw-in off the Portuguese winger. And this is going to be about level with the edge of the D of the Celtic box. Most of the play has been off to our left.
Yeah, and again, Will Ferry's gone over onto that right-hand side from his left-back position to take this long throw-in, and the target, of course, is going to be Dalby. They've got to get somebody in front of him. Scales is behind him. The goalkeeper's right out thinking he's going to come and take it.
Long throw-in again from Ferry. Doesn't reach Dalby, and it just went over the head of Doherty. Adebayoga picks it up just outside the centre circle. He tried to disguise a ball low into the Celtic box, cut out by Scales. His clearance goes straight back to Adebayoga in the Celtic half. Breaks out to Strain over on that right flank. Former St Mirren player. Back to Adebayoga, controls with the right, then loops a high ball into the Celtic box. Johnston does enough to put Payton off, and Celtic clear the lines again. Then off the head of Chevy and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. But the match that we're watching just now, it's as good a performance in the early stages against this Celtic team as you'll tend to see. And I think the plays had to be stopped because golf balls that have come on, tangerine golf balls, have made their way on from the Celtic end. And clearly you can't play a game of football when there are so many golf balls on there. There must be 100, 150 of them that have been tossed onto the pitch by the Celtic supporters in the shed.
And what does it signify? Does anybody know? I don't know whether anybody in the studio, Mike, or anybody's watching. Is there something? I'm lost to that one, sorry.
Well, all it's done is, I mean, in fairness, Jim Goodwin will be annoyed because United will be the better team in the match.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it might actually come at a good time for Celtic, but yeah, I mean, we've seen this plenty. We've seen this plenty over at Dens last season, wasn't it, when the game was delayed for ages because of pyrotechnics and the like. Anyway, we're away up on the gantry, high up in the main stand, so we can't see exactly what they are, but it may well be that is it oranges being thrown on, Cerdine? You've got a better idea down there?
Yes, we all know Dundee United's nickname is the Tangerines. These are tangerines or oranges. I believe this is a protest from the Celtic support about the ticket prices from today, but tangerines or tangerine peels being thrown on and being cleared up now by, well, I think both sets of backroom teams are on there trying to get the game back underway. We could do without this, couldn't we?
Absolutely, and I didn't know what it was about. You know, I bought 2 tickets for my grandson today. He wanted to come up, and I give him a lift up in a good part of the stand. So, yeah, and they were, what I say, pricey.
Well, I mean,
I'm not so sure compared to what you have to pay.
I think the feeling is that from the Celtic fans' point of view, from their perspective, is that Dundee United were milking it because they knew that Celtic had the chance to win the title today. And they felt that the Dundee United board and the club here were trying to profit from said potential party.
Yeah, well, they've made their point, I suppose.
Well, they have, because play still hasn't resumed here, and we've got a busy afternoon. As usual, all 6 Premiership matches taking place today. The big one this weekend, undoubtedly, up the road from here at Pittodrie, as Aberdeen take on Hibernian. You feel Aberdeen have to win that game if they are to be considered challengers for third. A victory for Hibs coupled with a win for Celtic here, and you just can't see either United or Aberdeen reeling Hibs in, given if that was to come to pass, Hibs will have been unbeaten in 18 league matches. As play gets back underway here, finally, Jota's tripped on the far side. Celtic have the ball anyway, and it's Carter Vickers steaming across the halfway line. Plays it short to his right for Engels, who goes back to Sinisalo. And Celtic haven't really seen much of the ball in United territory by this point.
No, they haven't.
0-0 it is still.
That breakage in play has almost allowed Celtic to get a little bit of control on the game. They've had more passes since the game restarted than they've had in the whole of that opening period. So it allows them to settle into the game. And you're right, Jim Goodwin will be really annoyed at that, because Dundee United were dominating proceedings.
Well, Dundee United have seen just shy of 60% of the ball before the stoppage. And we're threatening as Maida loses out in the United half, and it's cleared out to this near side and out for a Celtic throw-in. This near side touchlights. That Aberdeen Hibs game, St Mirren Rangers, the other two top six games. Hearts, Dundee, Kilmarnock, Ross County, Motherwell, St Johnstone. Some crucial bottom six fixtures there. And of course in the Championship, the big one, Hamilton against Livingston. Libby given a Partick Thistle style boost last night in their bid to win the Championship title. Jota has it, now it's Hatate at the edge of the box, gets it in towards Kuhn, who just couldn't make contact, and it evades him and goes behind for the goal kick, and stays United 0, Celtic 0. We played 17.
Yeah, Celtic advancing up that left-hand side and just picking out Hatate just round about 25 yards from goal, and he tries to slide that little ball inside the full-back for Kuhn. He goes with his left foot. I thought he might have sort of maybe stretched better with his right foot, but I don't think he was going to get it. But it was a nice little bit of play from Celtic, the best play in this opening period of the game.
Goal kick United, which Walton will take with the right foot. Now to the right-hand side, helped on its way by Dalby ahead of Scales, but Carter Vickers is in behind to clear. Campbell with the cushion header forward to the big United top scorer, 14 this season. Can't control it this time though. Celtic win it back, and it's Carter Vickers just moving it to Johnston. Yeah, Sam Dalby's only got Dyson Maida and Simon Murray ahead of him. The Premiership scoring stakes as Celtic flash forward on the counter, and then it's put behind for the corner by Strain, knowing he Jota right behind him. Had to deal with it, and he does, and Celtic have their first corner of the afternoon. Yeah,
it was a good ball from Ingles. I don't think his first intention was to try to pick out Jota at the back post. It was more for Maeda making that run, but the ball evaded Maeda and the defence, and Strain had to get back and knock it away for a corner.
United have to face this Arne Engels in-swinging corner from the Celtic left as they attack the goal to the right. And it comes with the right foot into the 6-yard box, and Adebayega gets a crucial touch. Walton goes to try and punch away and does. Ferry helps it on its way. Middleton clears, but only as far as McGregor. Back out wide left for Engels. We'll give her space to find the angle for the cross ball here. Instead he plays it short and square to Carter Vickers. And then to Jota, over on that left channel to Engels, lovely back heel. McGregor's in, his effort scuffed and deflected behind for another Celtic corner off Adebayega. And since the stoppage, it's been Celtic who've been on top.
It's amazing, it's absolutely amazing. And that was good play again from Celtic, just again working that ball around the edge of the box over on the left-hand side. McGregor this time leaving that hold in midfield position to make his little run forward, and ends up again getting the shot away in a block for a corner.
In comes the next corner, headed away by Chevy. I'm going to get to Michael Stewart in the studio in a moment just to see what he's making of it all, but we'll wait for a stoppage in play as McGregor rolls it low and along the grass out to the left for Engels and in field to Scales. Scales then turns it back to Carter Vickers in the edge of the centre circle. To the left for Scales. And back to the US international, who finds the Canada international Johnston, and out to Nicholas Kuhn on this right flank. Looking to try and take on Ryan Strain, who's popped up on this near side. Clip ball into the box by Kuhn, comes off the head of Chevy. Maida's there. Bicycle kicks it back towards Johnston. Blocked there by Payton, who flicks clear, and Sibbald does likewise up to the halfway line. Celtic baring their teeth for the first time in the game, really. They have it with Taylor on the left.
And when they get into their stride, Celtic, and they pin you back, it's very difficult to get out. And when you win the ball in that defensive position, it's just a wee bit of composure, trying to hit the front man so he can hold it up to get support up there. If you just give the ball away, it just comes back. And
Celtic giving it away this time. Ferry with the challenge on Kuhn, who wins it back off Middleton, who was a bit slouchy there. Now Nicholas Kuhn coming forward, rolls it to the right of the box. Engels across. Maida couldn't get the requisite touch on to it to force it towards goal. And United clear with a diving header from Chevy out to this near side. Ferry prevents the ball going out for a Celtic throw-in. Carter Vickers strong in the challenge with Dolby. Finds Johnston, who finds McGregor. Now back to Carter Vickers. You feel Craig Sibbald's arguably got the most important role in the Dundee United team today, because he's on the Celtic skipper.
Yeah, and Craig does that job reasonably well. You know, he is a midfielder, but he's got attacking tendencies.
There's Hatate, low ball into the United box for Engels. Right hand side of it, gets the cross in. Walton is the dive to punch clear. Jota has it. Celtic have woken from their early match slumber here. 21.5 on the clock at 0-0, but United win it back through strain. Adabayega clears. McGregor gets a slight touch onto it to knock it back to Scales, who goes all the way back to Sinisalo. Michael Stewart watching this one in the studio in Glasgow. United settled well, but Celtic on top right now. No sign of Michael. Well, never mind. Maybe try again later, shall we? It will be a goal kick here for Dundee United, which Jack Walton will take. And the score's level. And Jim Goodwin down there will be even more frustrated with absolutely what's been going on, just with the stoppage in play because of the objects being thrown on when his team was on top in the ascendancy, arguably, and they've been up against it since.
Yeah, very much so that you know, his team was doing really well for the opening 15 minutes, really pinning Celtic back, getting balls into the box, and then the stoppage, and now Celtic have just taken more control of the game. They've got to get back into that frame of mind and get a ball high up the pitch. They've got a free kick now out in the right hand side, Liam.
Sam Dolby's won it. Mikey, you with us now?
Yeah, I'm here, Liam. I was just going to basically reiterate what you guys were talking there about when the Tangerines came on at the park. It's clearly been the sort of the shift in the game, and ironically Brendan Rodgers was shaking his head. He wasn't best pleased when it happened, but it is exactly the moment that Celtic has started to exert themselves in the game, because up until that point, got to say, Dundee United started very well. A little bit different from what you would expect normally. Brendan Rodgers spoke about the team defending their box very well, Dundee United, but they're playing a lot higher up the park now in this game, and it's been pretty good so far from both.
Yeah, Ryan Strain will take this free kick. It's a bit level with the edge of the D of the Celtic box, a yard or two from the far side touchline's an awful free kick. McGregor gets it half away. You want another go at that, Strain. Middleton stabs it back into his own half here for Ferry. Takes a touch and launches it long with the left, out to the right, flicked on by Chevy. It's good play by United. Strain has it, drives it across into the 6-yard area, and Scales heads it behind for a Dundee United corner. Nothing each here, but United with the opportunity and their first corner of the afternoon.
Yeah, and listen, it was a disappointing free kick, but the second phase, they kept the ball alive and they put it back into the area to put Celtic under pressure, and they eventually won their corner, which again gives them the opportunity. They've got the centre backs up, they've got obviously Dalby in there as a target man also. Opportunity
perhaps here for the Terrors. In swinging corner, right on top of Sinisalo, who punches it away. Wasn't the worst delivery in the world by Middleton. Celtic get it clear out for the United, throwing over on this near side, a bit level with the Celtic 18-yard line. Main stand side. And Ferry's already making his way to the ball.
They've got one coming in. Sorry, Lim, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players all in that box. Obviously for the first contact, but maybe even the second phase to get on the end of it.
Celtic have everyone back to defend it. Here comes Ferry's throw. Into the box it comes. It's not decisive from Carter Vickers, but it's broken to Ferry, wide on the left, tries to cross, comes off Johnston, up into the air. Doherty beaten to it by Kuhn, who then launches it away with the left foot. Adabayega controls in the centre circle, looks up, clips the ball forward to the 18-yard line, but it's headed away by Carter Vickers. Jota nods it back to Hatate. High into the air again. Strains underneath it. Finds Doherty in the centre circle. Launches it long back to his goalkeeper. Walton comes and claims under pressure from Maida. Then on the halfway line, Carter Vickers exchanges passes with Engels and gets it back and finds Johnston. Now Kuhn, lovely flick for Engels, driving into the United box and winning the corner off Chevy. That's good play by Celtic down this near side. And Nicholas Kuhn with the tricks.
Yeah, nice little bit of play, interchanging of little flicks and passes to get into a good position. Here's a chance.
It quick, and it's flicked by Taylor to Maida, heads it down into the ground and wide. And then we'll stay Dundee United 0. Celtic 0, almost on 26 minutes.
Yeah, listen, a good improvisation, I think, there from Engels. He's seen that Taylor was going to almost free in the box, coming across from his left back position, right across into that 6-yard box, flicks it on. It was a difficult one for Maeda to take. It was kind of almost spinning up in the air, and he's got to make contact on a spinning ball, not easy, and he eventually heads it wide. But it was a half chance for Celtic.
They're doing well to keep Celtic out. They've scored 2 or more in 39 of their 53 games this season, and 3 or more in 28 of them. That is sharp shooting. Walton clears with the right foot from the goal kick. Scales beats Dalby, thinks he was being fouled. The referee disagrees. And now it's with Maida. Showed too much of it to Chevy, knocks it out for a throw into Celtic on this near side. Jim Goodwin making the point that he felt that his team should have got a free kick over there.
Well, there's a battle, isn't it? There's a battle between Scales and Dalby, two big guys, and you know, you have to be a defender in that occasion when the ball's playing on top of you, and you've got to be strong.
Celtic with Carter Vickers right of the centre circle, rolls it short to his captain. McGregor forward to Taylor. Now with Carter Vickers, Callum McGregor is close to his 24th major honour at Celtic. Here comes Kuhn down the right, blocked by Ferry, behind for a Celtic corner, right in front of the Tannadice tunnel off to our right.
Yeah, it looked like actually a handball when his arm was up, but he was outside the penalty box. But nobody has sort of can almost shouted if it was inside the box. It might have been a bigger shout, but anyway, Celtic get the corner.
Celtic looking to break the deadlock here. Out-swinging corner from Arne Engels coming up. The right foot, it's deep towards the back end of the penalty spot, where it's met by Payton, who goes back to Strain, who launches it clear. And will be picked up by Johnston. Square ball infield to McGregor. Celtic 15 points clear at the top. That goal difference is incredible.
Yeah.
How many, if you look at all the leagues across the world, how many have a goal difference of plus 42 and the team sitting second?
Yeah, listen, a lot of it is down to the way that Celtic have approached the league and the way that they play the game, but also then they got a little bit of help, big help, I've got to say, from some of the results that their main rival Rangers have had over the season. It's at critical times.
There's Engels, low ball into the box, Johnston across and headed behind by Chevy for yet another Celtic corner. Whenever you see Alistair Johnston right hand side of the box on the underlap, you know there's going to be trouble for the opposition.
Yeah, and it's very difficult for a kind of almost a forward thinking player to track him. You've got Glenn Middleton there trying to track him inside the box because he's got a bit of pace also, and your defensive mind isn't working as quick as maybe an attacking mind at that point in time.
Engels, outswinger, right-footed, in towards Scales, heads it forward, and Shota turns it home at the back post. And Celtic make the breakthrough on what could be title day, their latest title day, just before the half-hour mark. It is Dundee United 0, Celtic 1.
Well, it was an out-swinging corner from Engels. Again, he had that one just previously that he overhit. This time he got his accuracy bang on, and up man Scales up from the back, gets the flick on, wins the first contact, and there at the back post was Jota. I'm not sure if it was an OG. It might have been also I'm not sure it was a Strain that was picking him up at the back post. But anyway, as a goal for Celtic, and puts them in the driving seat here. But you know, we talk about Dalby and you know, that almost competition with himself and Scales. I'm not sure was it Dalby that was picking him up, but certainly you have to do both. You've got to win the ball in the opponent's box, but you also have to defend your own box, and he was out jumped by Scales on that occasion.
Yeah, it's looking like a Ryan Strain OG.
Yeah.
by the sounds of things, albeit Jota was putting the pressure on. I'm not sure, we don't see replays where we are here at Tannadice. But Michael did see it, and that'll be a bitter disappointment for Jim Goodwin. And Michael, it pushes Celtic just that little bit closer to the title.
Yeah, well, I mean, from Celtic's perspective, it's ideal. Half an hour in, they've got themselves 1-0 up away at a difficult venue. But yes, I think you've seen the replays. It looks pretty much like Ryan Strain at the back post is the one that is put in the back of the net, obviously under a lot of pressure from Jota. But yeah, it looks as if it's an own goal and sets Celtic up pretty nicely here.
Michael, who is picking up Scales?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it was Sam Dalby, but there was a good tussle between the two of them. Liam Scales just managed to obviously get a jump early on him, but as he jumped, he's obviously been able to get his arm and just keep the Dundee United player from being able to get up alongside him. But I think it was Sam Dalby that was up against Paquet.
Okay.
Only once since September 2018 have Celtic surrendered a lead and lost. And that was at Kilmarnock last season. The previous example was also at Rugby Park in 2018. So unless that happens, Celtic will be winning the title today. As Johnston collects deep inside his own half, plays it off Middleton, and out for a throw into Celtic on the near side. Those opening 10 minutes, United were just shy of 60% possession. Yeah. By this point in the game, Celtic are over 65 themselves. Yeah, so it's completely swung round.
And there's no doubt that had a big bearing on the tempo of the game. That interruption absolutely gives Celtic an opportunity to settle down in the game, get control, pass the ball, push Dundee United back and just settle into it. Up until that, Dundee United had performed really well and had pushed Celtic on the back foot.
Yeah, United have been excellent this season, quite clearly, sitting on the 50-point mark coming into the post-split fixtures. It is absolutely what Jim Goodwin would have signed up for before a ball was kicked this term, given they came up from the Championship last season, albeit this is Dundee United Football Club we're talking about. But he wants Europe. He wants Europe. He wants third. He's targeting that as Jota goes down at the edge of the United box. It's going to be a United throw-in only, but Jota is staying down.
Yeah, it was Alan Campbell that time that came across, and obviously Jota had come across from the left side to make that run down the inside right, can almost channel. Alan Campbell tracked him and just caught him probably on the knee. I think, unless he's twisted something, and that, but it's more a bang, I would say, than anything else. But I hope it is, from his perspective.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, with that Scottish Cup final in mind, it could be that Jota, Kuhn, Forrest, Ida will all have
he looks as if he's under
role to play.
He's in a lot of pain. And
it's innocuous, isn't it? It's just that it's an innocuous challenge. There's no sign that the referee's made the wrong call there to not give the free kick or anything like that.
Sometimes you can go into a tackle and you catch the player maybe off balance or something of that nature, and you might think that it's a twist, but I think it's more a coming together and a bang rather than anything else. But I could be wrong, but he is certainly under a lot of pressure, and he's feeling the effects of it.
I think they might have to make a change here. Adam Ida's just jogged to the technical area for Celtic and looked as though he was getting ready to come on, so it could well be Ida for Jota, with Maida going out wide left. So slight little tweak there. It's not exactly weakening Celtic, given Maida scored plenty goals this campaign from out there, and it could be this is the kind of game that suits him, playing out on the left-hand side. But Jota had a big role in the goal that separates the two teams in this match on 34.5 minutes. Celtic leading 1-0. They only need a draw today.
Well, he's obviously
today.
Yeah, he's obviously twisted that knee. You don't go off just for a bang. You can kind of try to run it off, and that. So I think it's probably that he's maybe just hit him as he's putting his foot on the ground, just twisted his knee a little bit. But he's gone straight up into the dressing room to get ice on it, and Adam Ida has come on. Maeda will go out on the left-hand side.
It's Ida on now. Brendan Rodgers looking to become the first Celtic manager to win 3 trebles. He and Steen have done it twice. And also with today, if they see the job through, confirm the title, he will move on to 11 major honours, which would take him third behind Maley and Steen in the all-time Celtic list, although he'd still be a fair bit behind those two. Here's McGregor rolling it back to Carter Vickers, who finds Scales in the centre circle. Low ball forward to Ida, little touchback's good for McGregor. Maida to the left, that's gone in behind him, and behind for the goal kick. And it will stay Dundee United 0, Celtic 1, with less than 10 now to the break.
Yeah, that ball played in from Scales into Adam Ida's almost a second touch, and he lays it lovely into the path of McGregor, who makes that run from a deep position. It's very hard to track him also because his timing is really, really good, and he drives into the space. He picked the ball up, but he just misread the run from Maeda. He wanted it inside the fullback, and he played it the outside, and it goes for a goal kick for Dundee United.
I'm saying we're 10 minutes or just under 10 minutes from the break. As it stands, there's going to be 5 minutes on top of that because of the lengthy stoppage of the oranges, tangerines, or whatever it was, being thrown from the away support as Campbell rolls it back to Ferry. It really has been one-way traffic since that moment. Celtic have that lead. Dalby goes down, claims he was fouled by Carter Vickers. Again, the referee sides with the Celtic defence rather than the United striker. And the roll back by McGregor for Scales. Scored his first Celtic goal here at Tannadice, and that was long before his loan at Aberdeen as well. As Hatate collects and turns it back to Scales, and he's timed his run well, getting back into the starting 11 before the trophies are getting handed out.
Yeah, but I think he was unlucky to be out in the first place. I know the trustee did okay, but I think Scales has been very, very consistent in the way that he's gone about his business at Celtic here, and he's an improved player. There's no doubt. I've said it, and I'll consistently say it. I'm not, and I'm only saying it because of his performances, Liam. Not because he's Irish or in that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But I think he's been good. I think he's been really good.
I believe you. As Scales picks up and rolls it low forward to Ida. Back to Scales, but he's off target with the pass, and it's Dalby who's onto it. He's on his own though at the moment. Tangerine and Black coming forward now and into the box. It finds Payton, who scuffs his shot, and Sinisalo holds on. It's just little moments like that United are going to need more quality. Any team coming up against Celtic, get into their box, you need more quality than that. And here come the champions racing up the other end with Maida across the face for Kuhn. 2-0! 2-0! And Celtic will surely be crowned champions today. I think we can safely say that at this point. On 38 minutes, Nicolas Kuhn in the back post dumps it into the roof of the net. And the Celtic supporters, who were already in party mode, are about to enjoy more celebrations. It is Dundee United 0, Celtic 2. There ain't no stopping them.
Yeah, and it comes from that half chance for Dundee United when the ball was sort of almost hit in, and Sinisalo makes the save, gets up early, gets to the edge of his box quickly, and throws it out to Ingles, who was in that space in the middle of the pitch, and he did brilliantly to create a further opportunity for himself then to pass that ball to Maeda, and all good wingers getting into the back post like Kuhn did on that occasion to tap into the back of the net. He still had to keep his concentration, he had to get there first. The ball was coming across quickly, but he kept his eye on the ball and steered it into the back of the net to put Celtic 2-0 up. But really good play from Celtic from back to front.
And there's the contrast. Michael Stewart watching this, he'll have seen replays of it. Payton at one end, powder puff effort in the Celtic box, up the other end goes Celtic, and that is what you call some real proper punishment. As United swing the ball in, we'll get to Mikey in a moment. It's found Middleton wide on the left, looks to cross in. Sinisalo gets it away, punches it clear. Sibbald and then Campbell, and now with Ferry. Ferry towards the box, he shoots well wide in the end from distance, and it will stay at 2-0 to Celtic. But that's what Celtic are all about. If you don't take your chances, they'll take theirs for sure, Michael.
Absolutely, Liam. I mean, that goal just epitomises what Celtic are about. You know, the speed of the attack. Brendan Rodgers said it before the game in terms of the importance of the speed that they need to play with. And if it doesn't work, then you just keep doing it and don't panic. And that's what that goal was all about. Quick attack, wonderful ball out from Engels. The ball into the box from Maeda, which is something he's brought this season, end product. And you've got to say, it's a wonderful finish from Kuhn. Not easy on his weaker right foot, smashes into the back of the net. Interestingly though, it's Alistair Johnston who's playing centre of the goals. He's the one in the middle of the goals as that ball comes in. And that just shows you the desire and the hunger for the rest of the Celtic team to go and score goals there.
And Adam Ida was almost on to another cross. That, incidentally, is Nicolas Kuhn's first goal since he scored in the Allianz against Bayern Munich.
Wow.
And he's taken that one really well. It's his first league goal since he scored in the 6-0 rout of Dundee at the start of February. And it could be good timing for him as well, because he's found himself out of the team now and again recently.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know whether he's a confidence player. I'm sure most attacking players, creative players, like to have top confidence.
Oh, look at this as well. Hatate's found Ida. Chevy trying to defend it. Ida into the box, plays it across the face. Maida's going to get there, left-hand side, and his efforts blocked by Walton. And Hatate's onto it, and now it's Taylor. And Celtic are turning the screw and some here, as they did towards the end of the first half at Hampden last Sunday. 41.5 on the clock. They lead 2-0. Campbell's onto a loose ball this time, though, for United on the near side, but he's given it straight back to Carter Vickers, who plays it down the line for Johnston. He'll then dink it to Scales at the edge of the centre circle. United 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, they're in control now, Celtic, aren't they? You know, the confidence is high. They're moving the ball. They're in control of the game. They're passing it around. Everything's coming off for them.
Johnston has it wide in the right. Rolls it back to Engels. Midway inside United territory. Out to the touchline for Kuhn. It goes back to Carter Vickers. Side football into the United half for Taylor, who switches it to the left inside channel for Scales, who's driving forward. Out to Maeda, level with the United 18-yard line, then with Taylor. Taylor looking for an option in green and white, and he plays it back along the edge of the centre circle for Carter Vickers, who finds Hatate. Hatate short to Johnston, and back to Carter Vickers. I mean, another Celtic goal, and Jim Goodwin's going to have to start thinking about damage limitation. Engels isn't going to get onto that chip ball into the United box. They'll go behind for the goal kick. It'll stay Dundee United 0, Celtic 2, and we're in the last knock-ins of the 45 here, but there will be, again, as it stands, 5 minutes on top.
They haven't played badly, Dundee United, for sure. That's the thing. You know, they just couldn't control Celtic, and Celtic got that sort of kind of almost firepower into them, and keeping the ball and passing it off their touch. You couldn't get close enough. That first 15 minutes was very encouraging for them, but
that means nothing now. It means
down.
nothing to them now, as Docherty, the United skipper, picks up level with the edge of the centre circle. In the Celtic half on the right, goes back to Chevy, it's back to Adebayoga, and he rolls the low ball back to Walton. He'll clear first time with the right foot.
Yeah,
straight into touch. Celtic throwing, and they're just not retaining the ball.
No, that's the bit. That's
United.
the bit. You know, there was opportunities there, maybe when they were defending also deep, that if they could get a good pass up to the Dalby and get him to hold it up and get support, but he just kicked it away, and that was an instance there, an example of it. Goes back to the goalkeeper, and what does he do? Kicks the ball out of play and gives possession back to Celtic.
The first Celtic goal has gone down in the ledger as a Ryan Strain OG. There's no doubt about the second from Kuhn 8 minutes later. And United are facing a similar situation to the one St Johnstone had last week, because you could very easily go 3 or 4-0 before half-time, despite the fact that's 6 minutes away. As Taylor gets onto it, the edge of the United box finds Ida to the right, and then the right-hand side level with the penalty spot. Taylor to Hatate, little back heel for Johnston's blocked. Hatate holding off Docherty, and then back heels it off him, and behind for another Celtic corner.
Yeah, and knew what he was doing there. Used his body strength, actually, for a small player very, very well on that occasion to get the second bite at it, and then just very clever in the back heel to one in the corner. And again, you know, Scales has gone up, Carter Vickers has gone up, Adam Ida now is on the pitch also, another target man, you've got to say, decent in the air, and it is. They'll be picking up Scales this time. You'll have to do a better job than the last time on him.
Again, outswinging corner from Engels in front of the Tannadice tunnel, off to our right, in front of the hordes of visiting supporters. Engels takes into the box, it comes, just missed Ida, headed away, and as far as McGregor, he finds a Tati, flashes it back to Johnston, and a low ball out to Kuhn on this near side. Left foot ball back into the centre circle for Johnston, who finds McGregor. Out to the left for Scales. It's a turn to face his own goal, and he goes back to Sinisalo. Well out of his box. Under no pressure though. He plays it short to Carter Vickers, who rolls it into Ida's feet. And out to the right for Johnston, for Engels. We are in the first of the 5 minutes of stoppages at the end of the first half here, with Celtic leading by 2-0. Scales over there, rolls it back to Sinisalo. It's bright perspectives for Dundee United as well. They were always underdogs coming into this, but this time 2 years ago, they were down the road in Perth, lost 1-0, lost the rest of their 4 post-split matches and were relegated. They were sitting 10th at the split, yet they were automatically demoted. So they bounced back quickly. They're top 6. They are looking... it looks like a shoe-in for Europe. It's very difficult to see St Mirren putting any pressure on, and because of last week's Scottish Cup semi-results, it means that 5th spot's going to be good enough for a place in Europe, and they will finish at least there, you would imagine, and they'll still be in the mix for 3rd, no matter the results today, albeit a Hibs victory at Pittodrie would make them strong favourites to finish in the top 3.
When you look at their results, they're very poor February, March, a bit of January also, but they've finished really, really well. They started well and finished really well.
This has been the problem for those teams fighting for 3rd. Aberdeen had a dreadful winter, as we know, late autumn into the winter. United, you just highlighted. Hibs had a dreadful start to the season. But if any one of those sides could have got it together earlier or later, as Maida comes forward, finds Ida, Kuhn's there, 3-0! 3-0! Nicholas Kuhn second. Maida down the left, it's all about him. Pulled it back, Ida couldn't get onto it. Kuhn does, simple finish into an empty net, and Celtic have this game sewn up before half-time. They have the title sewn up for sure. Title number 55 is theirs, and it will be confirmed today. It is Dundee United 0, Celtic 3. Game over.
Well, simplistic really, but what an effect that Maeda has. He goes out on that left-hand side and is so quick and gets to the byline. Lovely, run initially, just drops his shoulder, away he goes, in behind, and then he cuts that ball back perfectly into the pad initially for Adamida, who can almost missed it at the near post, but he dragged defenders away, and there was Kuhn again in off the right hand side and gets himself into a position where all he's got to do is hit the target to make it 3-0, and it's turning into a day of celebration for Celtic, you've got to say.
It is. I'm not sure how much recrimination there'll be for Dundee United, because they're being torn asunder here. And this is where we were, Packy, last week at Hampden. It was 4-0 at the break. There's still time for Celtic to score a 4th. Just over a minute of the stoppage is left here. Yeah. This is now turning into a really long afternoon for United after it started off pretty promisingly for them.
Yeah, and they've been clinical again. They're talk about their goals for record, and the goalkeeper hasn't had a save to make apart from picking the ball out of the net 3 times. Quite incredible. They're in again. Yeah,
and there's a long one for Maida, who's chasing in. He's in behind Ferry. He's got support, and he can't find Kuhn with a back heel. Ferry's furious with his teammates there, because he was left completely and utterly exposed to Dyson Maida. And if there's one player you don't want to be exposed to in this country, it is he. The top scorer at Walton is onto it. That's second for Kuhn, incidentally, his 20th of the season, and Celtic's 100th in the Premiership this campaign.
Yeah, but it's the support of Kuhn also. As soon as that ball's played over the top for Maeda, he's...
Taylor's made a mess of it up the other end, but Sibbald can only dink it straight at Sinisalo.
And once he recognised that Maeda he was on his bike also, and he could have easily have played him in, or Maeda could have taken it on himself and maybe hit the target, and Kuhn was still in the position maybe off second phase to get his 3rd goal.
Well, Brendan Rodgers was being forced to answer questions about it being too easy in this country for his Celtic players. They've certainly made it look easy in the end, as Rodgers makes his way towards the tunnel for his half-time team talk. But the noise from the Celtic supporters tells you that they will be champions today. An own goal from Ryan Strain after Jota put the pressure on at the back post got them on their way, similar to last week, that one coming around about the half hour. A double from Nicholas Kuhn to take his tally from 18 to 20 in one fell swoop after a little while without a goal. A couple of months indeed. And that was the moment for him and for the Celtic supporters to confirm what we all knew was coming at some point. And I think you can safely say it's coming today. United started well. The stoppage when the Tangerines were thrown on by the Celtic support aided their team, and it took the wind out of United. Celtic have taken absolute control of it since then, like they've been in absolute control of the Premiership all season. Half-time at Tannadice, Dundee United 0, Celtic 3.
The Scottish Premiership.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
Yes, Celtic absolutely rampant there in the first half at Tannadice. Michael Stewart alongside me in the studio. Reminder, Open Mic starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon on Sports, and we're on the telly today, BBC Scotland, 4:30 until 5:30. The story continues on the radio from 5:30 until 7 o'clock with reaction from managers, pundits and of course the fans. We'll have a Celtic fan on later, Michael Stewart. He will be absolutely delighted at his team's first half performance there, although it was a bit of a slow start, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately it was Dundee United just started well. They started brightly, pretty much what Jim Goodwin had spoken about in terms of the team selection, you know, trying to get as much energy and athleticism in the side to try and match Celtic, which, you know, they were doing pretty well in the opening stages of the game. Not what you've come to expect from Dundee United in a defensive sense, in terms of when you look at the two centre halves, Adebayoga and Chevet, who Chevet in particular, he's not the physicality and the height and the strength that they have otherwise, and they defend their box well when they've got like a back three of, you know, the likes of Declan Gallagher and Adebayoga that are in there. Then there's a lot more height and strength, and they can defend crosses coming at the box, whereas they tried to be a bit more aggressive and play higher up the park, and in the opening stages it was playing quite well. But the flip side of that is that when Celtic play with the speed and the pace that they've shown after the Tangerine incident, they're very difficult to live with. They really are, because it's that pace and the attack in particular that they go and exploit any sort of gaps that are in the back line, and even with that greater athleticism on the Dundee United side, they've not been able to live with it. The first goal's big, obviously. It comes from a set piece, a cross into the box, which is disappointing for them to lose that. The next two, it just shows you the importance of getting in behind the opponents. Once you get in behind the opponents, becomes difficult for them to be able to keep an eye on the opponent and watch where the ball's coming from as well. They're turning and facing their own goal. And those two goals have ultimately, you know, come from exactly that: getting in behind, balls across the face of the goal, cutbacks, and two pretty good finishes. The first one in particular from Nicholas Kuhn. The second one, yeah, he's got to keep concentrated, but fairly straightforward. But it'll do a lot of good for his confidence.
One negative, and you had a close eye, and I think you guys as former players can usually spot these things pretty quickly. When Jota had to go off injured, particularly with a cup final next month, you didn't like the look of it. No,
it's one of those horrible incidents that looks fairly innocuous, but when you see the player's reaction, and you always just wonder, something's not right there. Just running across the park, stretching. It was under a little bit of pressure from Ryan Strain, I think it was, but there wasn't any real physical challenge from the two, and it's just his knee looks to buckle a little bit. It rocks as he's striding across the park. He's gone off. I mean, he's up walking, but he's hobbling badly. I mean, I'm hope I'm wrong, but my gut would tell me that he's done something that is, you know, far from ideal, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's he's out for a few months. It could well be, sort of looking to try and get himself fit for the start of next season. And unfortunately, my gut would be that the cup final is not going to happen.
So tough, Pat, for any side when you face Celtic in this sort of form. When they got their noses in front, they were relentless. The pace, the intensity, they are so difficult to contain.
Yeah, and that second goal almost sums that up. It comes from the goalkeeper making the save, gets up quickly, gets it out quickly to Ingles in the middle of the pitch, who was very composed in what he was going to do, takes a touch, opens up a bit of space, and then, of course, playing in Maeda across it. So all of that quickness, that anticipation, that exploiting space, all of those things that Brendan talks about, high energy, was in that goal, and it was brilliant to watch it up here. You could see it just developing beautifully, and then the quality of the players on the ball, to make it happen and finish it off. So yeah, very difficult. The way that they popped the ball around, initially, when we talked about first 15 minutes, Dundee United had pinned Celtic back a little bit. They were high up the pitch. They had 4 or 5 players at times almost getting in around the box. Celtic couldn't get in control of the ball. When the ball was wide, they got it into the box. Obviously, Dalby was a bit of a difficult one to handle, because he was either winning the ball or knocking it down, or forcing defenders to maybe knock it down into an area where Dundee United had the players, and they could actually then control what they were doing, and it looked as if they were going to give Celtic a real tough opening period, which they did. But then that sort of change in the game when all those tangerines came on the pitch just took the sting out of it. But that's not, I suppose, it's not Celtic players' fault. They weren't in control of that. But certainly Dundee United players then need to find a way back into the game when Celtic start taking control. But Celtic just then, for the whole period after that, just bossed the game. They knocked the ball around, kept moving the ball. They've created decent chances, good chances, but the goals, they were clinical, absolutely clinical.
Talk to us a bit about Nicholas Kuhn, Pat. He has made the Premiership Team of the Year. That will be largely based, I'm sure, on his early season form. Yep. He's tailed off in recent months, but he looks to be back at it this afternoon. Yeah.
Listen, he's performed really well. I was critical of him when he came to the club first. I didn't think that he did enough. He didn't go and take players on, get to Ireland. Everything was easy. He was knocked backwards to a supporting player. Then suddenly he came absolutely alive, and he was doing all the things that you were wanting him to do. Cutting on the inside, going to the byline, scoring goals, creating chances, all the things that attacking players of Celtic are paid to do. And he was doing it, and then it sort of kind of almost disappeared for a while. But today will give him, as Michael already said, huge confidence. You get 2 goals, and that again is back maybe to Brendan Rodgers, watching him and say, well, listen, we need him now. They need him more so if Jota is going to be out. He's got to be an integral part of the team coming into the cup final, that's for sure. But Brendan again just saying, well, do I leave him out? Do I put him on the bench? Or is he a confidence player? I need to get him in the team just to get that sort of confidence back in. And today you can't get any better than that, scoring 2 goals. And on possibly could end up maybe getting a hat-trick in this game, and that will just bring him back up to a level that he wants to be. Sometimes I look at him and I wonder, is he motivated to be coming to Scotland, coming into this sort of tough environment that we have up here, or is he one of these flair players that will do a piece and then just drift away again? But today will be a big boost for him. Yeah,
he's looked very good in that first half, Michael. From Jim Goodwin's perspective, how on earth does he approach this second half? Because it could be, as Celtic remain in this mood, a really sore one for him this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a concern, just in terms of obviously game against the champions at home, and coming up against a strong side and having a heavy defeat. But then you look further afield, obviously the goal difference at the top in the challenge in the third is important. Dundee United started this game, they were +1, they're now -2, and for Aberdeen, who were on -4, all of a sudden, you start to think to yourself, well, within one game they could potentially, make a jump and get level on points and go ahead of them on the goal difference. Hibs, though, are far in front. I think they're plus, I'm just checking here, they're plus 13 Hibs.
Yeah.
So this is the concern for Dundee United, that it was going to be a tough task for them to turn the goal difference around on Hibs, but all of a sudden they're drifting back towards Aberdeen in that sense, and what could be a vital battle for fourth place in the table at this moment in time this weekend, and they need to make sure that there isn't any lasting legacy in terms of the psychology of a tough chasing and defeat at home.
I was through doing the off the ball trail, so I missed chunks of the game there, but I just looked up and they were showing the highlights. I think it was Callum McGregor found a bit of space to set up one of the goals at a run. He found some space in the middle of the park. I heard Pat talking earlier about Sibbald being, his job was to be on Callum McGregor today, but it's almost impossible, isn't it, with a player of his intelligence, his ability, Callum McGregor, to nullify him for the whole match. He's going to find space. He's that clever.
Yeah, and look, this doesn't work in isolation. It's the Celtic as a team as a whole. Their movement and off the ball is very good, and it's quick, and it's dragging people into positions that they don't really want to go, which it becomes, the situation for Craig Sibbald is he man marking Callum McGregor everywhere he goes? Well, not completely, but sort of. And
right.
Then it becomes the issue of when's he passing him on, and then it's in relation to all the other players that they're marking naturally within the game and the movement of the Celtic team. That's the thing. It's this collective team that Celtic have, the movement they've got, running off the ball, and they don't run in typical stereotypical positions. They've got guys that will drift into certain areas that do become very difficult to pick up. They're a very good, well coached side. And then Craig Sibbald on Callum McGregor. The most important thing really is just trying to stop things at source. But Callum McGregor has now added that other side this season in particular of running onto the game on the edge of the box and scoring goals as well. So not only is it trying to stop it at source higher up from your side of things when Callum McGregor's picking that ball up deep and starting attacks, he's now recognised the importance of late runs onto the ball and the possibility of scoring a lot of goals, because he's got a great strike. He used to score it when he was younger, a lot of really good goals, but now he's developed his game where he plays obviously as a deep midfielder, but coming onto the game, late runs, picking it up, and that takes a lot of concentration for the opposition. If somebody's designated marking him, they need to be mindful of that higher up the park as well, Michael, passing him on.
Yeah, Michael, there was a great example of that just as Adam Aidid comes onto the pitch. I think it was his second touch when Scales played the ball forward to Adam, who's come off, laid it into the path of Callum McGregor. He drives forward into the space to collect the ball, and then he's in a position where he can actually play Maeda in or have a striker goal himself. It's a perfect example of anybody watching it.
You saw it last week, Packy,
and it's reading
against
the game,
St Johnstone.
You played midfield. It's about reading the situation, and he's so sharp and so ahead of other players.
Yeah, well, Packy, we spoke about this earlier in the season as well, where Celtic with Kyogo, they never really had that focal point to bounce balls off. Especially if it's very tight in the midfield, and if people are trying to close Callum McGregor down a lot, you would think instinctively, as Packy's saying, for me as a midfielder, you think, right, well, don't hit me, play past their midfield, and then you can turn and go and run and play off them. That's what they did against St Johnstone for the second goal last week, and it worked perfectly. They stepped forward, Callum's getting marked tightly, he spins and goes and runs and plays off of Adam Ida, and then he slips it inside the full-back for Maeda, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net, and you just look at that and the simplicity of it. Kyogo is always playing on the shoulder and wanting to stretch the opposition, which is effective, but sometimes when there's so much space between the opponent's midfield and their defence, you would think to yourself at times, just come and play as a platform to bounce off. And that's again what happened there in that instant today that Packy's talking about.
Yeah, Pat, I remember actually, I mentioned this in the programme before, I remember speaking to Andy Halliday. I was doing trackside at Celtic Park when Ange was manager, and Andy was there with Hearts. He came off in the second half. He said, you've no idea what it's like. You're chasing shadows. It's the movement, it's the pace, the intensity, as I've mentioned. He said it's just so hard to stay focused for the times that you need to, Pat, because they're running off you all the time.
Yeah, and Michael described it there. If you're Craig Civil and you're high up the pitch and you have to kind of almost stop Callum McGregor from being the player who's building the game from that position, and then suddenly the ball's played beyond you and you've got to track him in there. You've got to almost be 3 yards away from him to track him, because he's so quick at recognising the space and getting in there. It's impossible for you to do both them jobs all of the time. And it is then down to the other players in them positions, but they're caught up with the other two players, Hatate and Ingles, who are working and creating the space also. So it's really, really difficult in midfield when you're up against those type of players. And you know, Callum and his colleagues would have been up against great players when they go to international football or they go into European competitions and that. But that's how you learn, and that's how you've got to do it. I think you've got to do it almost on a daily basis in training too. You can do all the passing without the ball, or sorry, without opposition, but you've got to try to create it in a realistic manner, and that's how you learn the game.
Yeah, it certainly works. Celtic rampant this afternoon. They will make it 4 titles in a row. We'll hear from Brendan Rodgers after the game around 3 o'clock. Some huge matches in the top flight. Also a biggie. We're at the one, Hamilton Accies against Livingston in the Championship. So open all mics from 3 o'clock. We're on the telly 4:30 to 5:30 in BBC Scotland. The debate continues on the radio 5:30 to 7 o'clock. Reaction from managers, pundits, and of course the fans. So let's get back to Tannadice, Dundee United against Celtic with Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
When Celtic lost the title on the last day in 2011, Neil Lennon was asked about the subsequent Scottish Cup final against Motherwell the following week. He said, if they won that, would it be a success? He said, no, winning the league is success at Celtic. He went on to say, he could guarantee you'll see a very good Celtic team again next season, one that wants to win titles. Well, they've won 13 of 14 since he uttered those words, as Celtic at the second half underway in the green and white hoops, right to left towards the shed. Dundee United in the tangerine and black. No changes for either team. Celtic did have to make one in the first half as Jota coming off, Ida coming on. Didn't exactly impact them, because they scored twice after that change, and they have a 3-0 lead here at the start of the second half. Difficult to know where Dundee United go from this point. Jack Walton made his way to his goal frame right in front of the Celtic fans in the shed. He took a big intake of breath and looked up to the heavens, and you can't blame him.
No, and you know, he hasn't had saves to make in this game. He's just been picking the ball at the net. 3 goals, and that's kind of almost frustrating for him too. That the goals have been so well created by Celtic that he hasn't had a chance to save any of them.
It says all about this age of Celtic, and that 13 out of 14 titles. If you'd offered them that back in that day in 2011, they'd absolutely have taken it. But they're gutted it's not 14 out of 14, because that was the 10 in a row that went a begging, as Adabiega does some clearing with Maida in close attendance, and Sibbald stabs it out for a throw into Celtic. United with Walton in goal, Strain, Chevy, Adabiega, Ferry, Campbell, Doherty, Sibbald, Payton, Middleton and Dalby. And for Celtic, Sinisalo in goal, Johnston, Carter, Vickers, Scales, Taylor, Engels, McGregor, Hatate, Kuhn, Ida, Maida. And it is Kuhn, 2-goal man, over on the far side. The outside of the boot finds Johnston in the underlap at the byline, pulls it across, and Ida heads home, down into the ground, past Walton, who didn't have a chance. Wonderful build-up play by Celtic, and that is exactly what they've been doing all campaign. They've just ripped United apart down that right-hand side. The cross from Johnston on a plate for Ida, and it is Dundee United 0, an indomitable Celtic 4.
Yeah, well, listen, you know, it's very simple. You know, nobody tracking players. Obviously, Johnson underlap run, gets to the byline, and then nobody picking up Adamida in the 6-yard box, and the ball's just played across. Nice height for Adamida. All he's got to do is to get his head on it, and he'll be delighted to get his goal. And you know, again, Celtic just starting the second half as he left off in the first.
And there are literally hundreds of Dundee United fans leaving the stadium. They didn't want to see a Celtic party. They certainly don't want to see their team on the receiving end of a thrashing, but that's exactly what it is right now. And I mean, the fact they've got that goal early in the second half, it took them a while to get the goal, I think last week, didn't it, against St Johnstone at Hampden. You'd worry for St Johnstone what kind of humiliation they'd be on the receiving end of. It's still 5-0 is dreadful, but you do worry for United now at this point, just a few minutes into the second half, and that fourth goal has been conceded.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I talked about the first 15 minutes.
Chevy's in trouble here. Ida, and it's 3-on-2. Ida can play in. Maida, left-hand side of the box. Maida pulls it across. Behind Kuhn, though. Ida will get onto it. Kuhn, right-hand side of the United box. He's on his left side, looking for the hat-trick. It's deflected, and Walton holds on.
I was going to say, you know, the first 15 minutes I did mention that Celtic didn't have an out ball up to the main striker because it's not Maeda's game. But now, because the way that Dundee United have set up midfield, they're pushing Doherty on, they're pushing Alan Campbell on, almost with Hatate and Ingles, and then Sybil is high up on McGregor. It opens up huge space for the goalkeeper just to ping that ball up to Adam Ida, and they're doing it perfectly. So that's the out ball. If you look at it from Celtic, they didn't have that in the opening 15 minutes. Now they have. Here's another ball into Adam Ida. That's about 5 or 6 balls that's played into him, and then it's up to him to deal with it.
Defended well by Chevy this time, albeit on the halfway line. Breaks out to that left-hand side for Will Ferry. He'll go back to his goalkeeper. Michael's watching this. It's the worst possible start to the second half for Dundee United, but you just feel, Michael, that Celtic want to turn on the style in this second half and get this title wrapped up with a flourish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a start to the second half like that, it's just a continuation from, you know, when Brendan Rodgers put a marker down with his comments after the St Johnstone game. They have been outstanding. They've reacted incredibly well. And in a game like this where, you know, they're 3-0 up at half-time and you think to yourself they're cruising to lifting the trophy, perhaps the foot comes off a little bit. No, I can imagine Brendan Rodgers has just been reaffirming what he said weeks ago. We don't stop, you keep going for it. And we're sitting in the studio just watching this, and Kenny just says, this could be anything, and it really could.
Ferry with a United free kick, which has beaten everyone, and will bounce behind harmlessly for a goal kick over by the corner flag on this near side. As Celtic attack the shed end in the second half, United trying to attack the other end, but there are more and more tangerine and black empty seats visible here. This game, the 29th time, Packy, Celtic have scored 3 or more this season. This is game number 54. 29 out of 54, they've scored at least 3. I mean, you've got to score 3 or 4 to get a result against them at times. I know there's the odd anomaly as the Celtic fans throw on a whole heap of balls onto the pitch to stop the play again, and the banner says stop pricing fans out of football. And the ones who have paid the money to come in have just stopped proceedings again, and it's just a horrible afternoon for Dundee United. They just want the final whistle now. And as Michael was saying in half-time, this could severely impact their goal difference as well. They were +1 coming into this one. So down to -3 now, and that's just 1 goal better off than Aberdeen. And given how tight it is, it could well come down to goal difference when it comes to positioning in the shake-up. Celtic 4-0 up here, and it will be a drop ball for Dundee United inside their own box, and Jack Walton. And look, Celtic can score 3 or 4 goals in an instant, without question. So there will be United fans fearing the worst here, particularly those who witnessed the 9-0 when Postecoglou was in charge here 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, you've got to listen, you know, as United players, they've got to hang in somehow. They've got to find a way to be a bit more resolute in this game. They're getting cut up and they're getting opened up too easily. The ball's now played up into Adamida, and that gets Celtic up the pitch quicker. It's up to him to try to get a wee bit more control on the ball, but it's so evident that what's happening there and Celtic, and that's not them playing out through the back, you know, between the centre halves. Now that's just about good quality up to him.
Sam Dolby for United, back to Doherty, now Sybil, midway inside the Celtic half. Looks up at the goal and fires it with the left foot tamely wide of the left-hand post. And it will remain 4-0 to Celtic. We've played 8 minutes of the second half just about.
Yeah, and you can see that the Celtic, you know, I'm also looking at Dundee United's, they've almost pushed the right back strain high up on Kuhn, or sorry, and Taylor. They've gone to 3v3 at the back, and Celtic there's more goals here for Celtic.
It's a risky business, that. Kuhn can't quite find Engels, and it will drift through to Walton, who gets onto it. The team news from the other matches, and all 6 Premiership games taking place today, none tomorrow. You'll get the team news at the live text bbc.co.uk/sportscotland, including that crucial match in Pittodrie up the road from here as Aberdeen host Hibernian. It was unbeaten in the league in 17 matches. One of the best unbeaten runs outside of Celtic and Rangers in the top flight ever. You'll go back to Aberdeen, maybe managed to put together a run slightly longer than that during their 80s pomp. And it doesn't happen often. David Gray rewarded with that new contract yesterday, as of some of his players, the likes of Jack Iredale. As Scales knocks it forward, but it's gone straight to Chevet. His ball goes straight to McGregor. Adebayoga beaten to it by his countryman Ida, who's now turning away from the United defender and driving forward up towards the Dundee United box as to check his run and knock it back to Hatate. Short ball to his right for Johnston. Side foot to Ida. Takes a touch and steps away from the defender. Then a misunderstanding between Hatate and Maida sees it go behind for the goal kick. United 0, Celtic 4.
Yeah, if I was Adam Maida now, the way that almost Dundee United kind of trying to set up to try to put a bit more pressure on Celtic high up the pitch, there is so much space for him to exploit now. He should be in his element, and I think, you know, that's the out ball for Celtic. You know, they don't have to pass it through.
Due to Scottish football's coefficient ills over the last few seasons, Celtic won't have automatic Champions League football next season. Drop into the playoff round, just one tie to negotiate, right enough, and Boda Glimt are already confirmed as entering at that stage, along with the Swiss and Austrian champions, whoever they may be. 6 winners from qualifying round 2 as well. Find out in the fullness of time.
It's never easy qualifying rounds, though. No. You know, early in the season, you know, you're so desperate, the pressure's on because you have to try to, and there'll be decent teams in there.
But at least they're not having to do what they used to do, which was come back in the early to middle part of July.
True.
There's Engels looking to knock it through to Ida. Chevet's there to go back to his keeper, and Walton clears first time with the right foot. Out to this near side, Scales underneath it. First time touch finds Taylor, who's taken out of the game by Payton, and that will be a Celtic free kick right in front of Brendan Rodgers, who's just standing there clapping his hands constantly. And what he is seeing is his Celtic team stepping up again. And a couple of wobbles over the course of the late winter, early spring. Defeats at Hibs and St Johnstone, against Rangers at home. And they have turned it on here, and it's Ida in the box, headed away by Adebayoga. Edge of the area where it's flicked away with the outside of the right boot by Will Ferry up towards the halfway line, where Scales gets onto it and goes back for Sinisalo. Oh, United are here in body only. They're not partaking in this football match.
No, and again, the ball's up to Dalby now. It's different types of balls, the scrappy balls.
Look at this, Carter Vickers, a mazy run up towards the edge of the box, sliding in Sybil to deny him a shot.
Yeah,
United get it back.
His eyes lit up again. Scored, what, last week was it?
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 Saturdays against Kilmarnock.
Yeah, right. And it was a brilliant strike. But he just ran on a little bit too far that time, and the space closed down on him.
It'll be a free kick to Dundee United, just to the right of the centre circle. Adebayoga's over it. Strains a short option on this near side. 57 on the clock, 4-0 to Celtic. United just trying to stop the bleeding here. Adebayoga looking for Dalby. Taylor's going to get there first, though, inside his own box. Facing his own goal now, rolls it to Scales, who goes back to Sinisalo. Forward to the right for Carter Vickers. Sinisalo would have been eyeing up a Scottish Cup final appearance, but the spectre of Kasper Schmeichel there warming up today suggests Schmeichel's going to be back long before the Scottish Cup final.
Well, there's two, I think, reasons probably why he's here today. One is that he's getting close to fitness, but he also wants to take part in the celebrations if they won the league. There's McGregor, that run again off.
Yeah, here he comes, McGregor, his goal side is Sybil, knocks it into the box, it's Ida, in it goes! goes for number 5. Side foot finish from Ida, right-hand side of the 6-yard box. It creeps into the near post past Walton. And Celtic hit 5 on party day. Dundee United 0, Celtic 5.
Well, it's that run again from Callum McGregor. We described it at half-time, and the way that he does it, he sees the space, he exploits the space. He runs off Craig Sybil, who can't track him, trying his desperately to match his run, and then he releases Adamida, who makes that run down the side of the centre half, and he beats the goalkeeper at what ease at his near post, sliding it past him to give Celtic that 5th goal. 2 goals from Adamida.
And he's up to 17 for the season. United ringing the changes now. Dolby's come off and been replaced by Van der Sande. They are also going to take off Ross Docherty, and he's been replaced by David Babunski, and the other North Macedonian, Christian Trapanovski, will replace Rory Payton. 5-0 Celtic.
Wow. This could, as you've already mentioned, Liam, be really, really difficult for Dundee United also, because, you know, the scoreline is one thing. Obviously, they've been ripped apart. They've got big games coming up. They want to try to get themselves into a European position. And, you know, will they make Europe, Dundee United?
Well, looks like it, yeah. I mean, they'll surely finish at worst 5th, and that's going to be good enough for the Conference League 2nd qualifying round. 4th is the 2nd qualifying round for the Europa League, so you get a couple of bites at it by finishing 4th, and obviously 3rd if Celtic win the Scottish Cup. It would be guaranteed Conference League football, but you get a stab at the Europa League playoff, which the Scottish teams have failed miserably at over the last 3 seasons. The teams out with Celtic and Rangers really need to step up in Europe, like they do in other countries. The teams that finish 3rd, 4th and 5th in other countries are often found competing in European competition into the spring, sometimes well into the spring. And that's where the likes of Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United need to start stepping things up, because this is the last season of guaranteed extended European football for whoever wins the Scottish Cup. As it stands, that would have to be Aberdeen now, but it will be 3rd spot it will go to if Celtic win the Scottish Cup, and that is exactly what they're expected to do, and that would mean another treble. We're beyond the hour at Tannadice. 5-0 to Celtic. Ida trying to turn Chevy. He couldn't quite manage that. Adebayiga gets it into the midfield for Babunski. He's got the armband now, back to Ferry. His long ball comes through to Carter Vickers, who rolls it back to Sinisalo. Can it feel if Celtic want more goals, they're going to get them today.
Yeah, and you know, again, this ball in to Adamida, they're just almost, they've just changed the shape also, Celtic in the middle of the pitch. Hatate and Engels is now going towards the ball and dragging Dundee United in.
And there's Engels with a deep cross. Maida almost got onto it. Walton gets a touch to get it away. Hatate will recycle it, left-hand side of the area. He finds Maida as a swing at it, blocked by Adebayiga, and Celtic have another corner. And Engels is racing out here to take it quickly. This isn't over yet for United. This is already a hammering. And it comes into the back post area. Kuhn heads for goal, blocked by Adebayiga, and Walton's onto it. They're fizzing it around with purpose here. Are the champions soon to have that crown refreshed? And that will be happening in the next half an hour or so. And United seeing that goal difference hit again with Ida's 2nd of the afternoon as a long ball comes through towards Trapanovski. Taylor wins the header and finds Callum McGregor on the near side. 2 United players for company, and Van der Sande can't keep it in play. It goes out for a throw into Celtic. Level the edge of the D of their own box on this near side, and Greg Taylor will take it. I don't know if you saw the piece that was published last week. Celtic prepared to bring on James Forrest and Paulo Bernardo about the nature of how easy it is for them to win titles, win trebles. And you consider they only had 3 trebles in their entire history up until 2017.
But that's not
and
their
about
fault.
To win another one.
That's not their fault. It's almost about the other teams trying to build their squads to compete and create the competition that Celtic.
Can you create competition when one of the teams elsewhere in the league is spending 11 million and 9
but
million
they built
and
that
5
up.
million.
They built
with 3
that. There was a
players.
period when they didn't have money also, you got to remember that. So that's been good management over the years. They've sold players, they've brought players in, they've created it, and so on. You know, if you compare that to, say, Rangers, for example, where, yeah, they were spending big money, but was it sustainable into the future? Probably not, and that's where it's left them, and they can't compete now.
The fact is, you get in the Champions League, you get the riches, you deserve the riches because you've made it into the Champions League, and Celtic have made progress in that competition this season. But how does it compare? 18 points clear in the next half an hour, and they'll be champions again. How does it compare to some of the titles you won, where you were going to the last day? You think of what happened at Dens in '86 while you were in Paisley, for example.
Of course,
what's a sweeter success?
No, for me, listen, it was a brilliant competition, and when you won championships, when you have to win your last game, and we did that twice in a row against St Mirren, and twice I think it was St Mirren at home and St Mirren away. We on the last day. That is what sticks with you in your mind, because it's hard work, but the competition then, Aberdeen, Dundee United, I go back to even Hibs and Hearts at the time, very, very different, good players throughout the league, all quality and all very, very experienced players who.
Well, a big switch of play for United, finds Trapanovsky, moves it back to the edge of the Celtic box, but McGregor's there. Now it's with Taylor, and now it's with Callum McGregor. Moves it to his right for Carter Vickers. And fair play to the United fans who are still here, because this is a video nasty for them. As Hatate finds Taylor, and then rolls it out low to Maida on this near side, and back to Scales. Played almost 65, Celtic leading 5-0. Now Callum McGregor, left to right of the centre circle for Carter Vickers, and forward to Hatate. Out it goes to James Forrest. The moment it's going to be for him when the full-time whistle goes. He will be Celtic's most decorated player.
I'm glad he's brought him on, to be honest, to savour this moment.
Bound to happen, wasn't
celebrate with the fans at the end.
Scales for Maida, drops the shoulder, pulls it across. Adabayega puts it behind for another Celtic corner, and all Jim Goodwin can do is stand down there with his hands in his coat pockets and pray for the full-time whistle.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get any worse, that's for sure.
Paolo Bernardo is just on. I'll take this latest set play for Celtic. In swinger from the Celtic left as they attack the goal to the left. Bernardo with 5 in green and white run about the 6-yard box. In it comes, and it's headed away by Van der Sande. Killed in the chest by McGregor, who rolls it out to Bernardo. Infield to Forrest. This pass is wayward though, and United clear through Ryan Strain. Van der Sande's onto it in this near side, rolls it up the line for Middleton. Scales toes it out for a throw-in to United on this near side. That there, Celtic's 8th corner of the afternoon. Didn't come to anything though. Strain waits to take the throw-in for United down below us. Little bit of movement in front of him, gets it to Van der Sande, now to Strain. He's lost out to McGregor's. Another energetic performance from the captain, and now it's with Maida from Ida. Maida doesn't like the options ahead of him, so turns back out to this near side and finds McGregor level with the edge of the centre circle. Side football back into his own half for Scales, who's left to right of the circle there for Carter Vickers, who'll then knock it out to the right-hand touchline for Forrest. Forrest back to Bernardo, and then out to Forrest again over on that far side. Level the edge of the D of the United box, finds Johnston to Bernardo, looking for Hatate, cut out by Sybil. Now Van der Sande on the far side, picking up the loose ball, goes with the early ball forward, looking for Trapanovsky, but it's too powerful, and it comes all the way through to Sinisalo. It's United 0, Celtic 5 at Tannadice.
Yeah, obviously the changes have been made by Jim Goodwin. He's dropped Craig Sybil back into a deeper midfield position, and Babinski has taken up that role that he had, trying to nullify Callum McGregor.
Carter Vickers out on the right-hand side of the centre circle, finds Johnston, and then down the line for Forrest. It will be honour number 26 for him. It will take him above Bobby Lennox. Callum McGregor will be one behind the Lisbon Lion with honour number 24, and he'll fancy honour number 25. Will be arriving 4 weeks today when Celtic contest that Scottish Cup final against Aberdeen at Hampden. Hello to listeners who've been tuned into Off the Ball, the FM listeners with us now. Celtic rampant here, 5-0 up against Dundee United. They only needed a draw to win the title today, but they have absolutely hammered United in the closing stage of that first half, as they did at Hampden last week. 3-0 up at the break, and they've scored a couple more in this second half through Adam Ida to really turn it on, and Taylor gets it from Scales. He's got Maida at the left angle of the box here, up against Strain. Side football in field to Taylor.
Just Dundee United can't get the ball, and just knocking it about. 1-2 touch pass, and every player looking for the ball,
chasing shadows.
Yeah,
there's Johnston for Taylor. Look utterly punch drunk, do Dundee United here. You can understand why. Scales finds McGregor, who finds Carter Vickers. Forward for Hatate, infield for Johnston, midway inside United territory. Back to Hatate, who finds Scales. Scales has got Forrest right hand side of the box, he plays it short to Hatate instead. He's on the turn, he's at the edge of the box, he rolls it to Forrest, who pulls it across, and Ida gets the touch, but it goes wide.
Yeah,
really close to his hat-trick there.
I'd love to know how many passes that Celtic had in that attack. There must have been at least about nearly 20 passes, just knocking the ball around and then quickly getting the ball out to Johnston at right hand side. And when the ball comes across, Adamina just took a deflection. He just had to react, and he nearly got on the end of it to get his hat-trick.
It will be a goal kick to United, which Walton will take. And the problem for United is it's still got just about a quarter of this game to negotiate. As Taylor heads back to Sinisalo. Comfortable take for the Celtic goalkeeper, and plays it short to Carter Vickers. 20 of 90 to play. United 0, Celtic 5.
20
Johnston
minutes.
to Ida.
Dundee United must be saying 20 minutes. They can score still 2 or 3 goals in this.
Yeah, and this will feel like hours. Every minute that passes by will feel like an hour for these United players. They're being pulled and ripped on every part of this pitch here. Scales goes to Carter Vickers, who goes back to his keeper. Sinisalo at the edge of his box has barely had anything to do all afternoon.
Well, it's 11 v 10 when the goalkeeper joins in, and they're just chasing shadows, trying to go man for man, but Celtic are quicker into little spaces to get on the ball. Rotations, linking the game up.
Yeah, and as Brendan Rodgers was pointing out before a ball was kicked this afternoon, his invincible team scored 106 goals that season. We're up to 102 now. 4 games to go to try and beat that tally. There's McGregor getting it from Taylor. He goes back to Scales in the centre circle. The way they've been grouping their goals, there's every chance they could get to that tally still this afternoon. Score 3 or 4 in an instant. Forrest to Johnston, back out to Forrest, down a bit level with the 6-yard line. He's not going to get there though. He's out to play for a throw-in, though Forrest thinks it should have gone his team's way. They came off very last, but the assistant over there disagrees. It will be a United ball, and for Dundee United, next week is massive for them. They go to Easter Road to face Hibs. These 2 games, Aberdeen Hibs today, Hibs Dundee United next week. That's like a kind of mini shootout, because if Hibs emerge with 2 victories from that, third's done. 4 points will probably be enough for Hibs.
Yeah, and today's match against Aberdeen is such a huge match for them. If they win that one, they're in a great position. And then it depends how Dundee United react from this result also. If they end up losing any more goals here, it becomes a bit of an embarrassment for them, and that's tough for the players.
There goes Forrest up towards the edge of the United box. One back there. Well in the end by Chevy, who was fouled, and that will be a free kick. As I said, the team news, bbc.co.uk/Sport Scotland for the other Premiership matches taking place this afternoon. Open All Mics is on from 3. Highlights on Sports Scene of all 6 top flight matches. 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel, repeated later on BBC One. But that big game at Pittodrie, Aberdeen with Mitov in goal, Jensen, Dorrington, Canuster, Shinnie, Clarkson, Palaversa, Morris, Keskin and Nisbet Gay. It's a team that started last weekend, and indeed the game before, couple of games before that as well. Hib Smith, O'Hara, Bushiri, Iredale, Chris Cadden, Levitt, Campbell, Triantis, Obita, Boyle, Bowie. So start for Bowie, but Nicky Cadden has to continue on the bench. One of the main reasons for Hibs' run of form is Nicky Cadden. He's struggling to get past Jordan Obita. Anyway, those are the teams from the match at Pittodrie. You'll see the rest of them at the website as Celtic prepare to bring Jeffrey Schlupp on for Reo Hatate. And Luke McCowan is coming on as well. Sorry, Schlupp for Taylor and the McCowan for Hatate. Celtic 5-0 up here, and the celebrations are just over 15 minutes away.
Yeah, giving all the players the opportunity to join in the celebration today. They've all made a huge contribution, a whole squad. I would have loved to seen Johnny Kenny just get a feel for it. He'd probably stick him in maybe in the remaining games just to see what he's like. It would be a shame if he has to leave the club or go out somewhere and he hasn't had an opportunity. I think that one game against Ross County away when he came on and made a contribution, but all of the players now that has been, involved in this celebration is in there to enjoy it.
Celtic have a throw-in level with the edge of the centre circle on this left-hand side. Schlupp over it. Luke McCowan, who scored here for Dundee way back in the opening weekend of the Premiership season last August from the penalty spot. And that draw in the sunshine. Forrest picks up on the right. That's lovely play, great spin. Forrest up the edge of the box. Really important challenge by Sybil. It's going to be brought back for a previous foul on Forrest. I think Sybil's challenge was good. The previous one is what's drawn the free kick.
Yeah, it was a good play from Forrest, driving in there, picking up and then showing that ability to go past players.
Yeah.
There's a ball into the box.
Johnston with it, Maida hanging, but Strain heading away out to this near side. Schlupp gets onto it, level with the 6-yard line, rolls it to Bernardo. Will then knock it back to Carter Vickers at the edge of the centre circle. Forward to McCowan, to Carter Vickers. He's got Johnston on the touchline on the right-hand side, level with the United penalty spot. Onto his left side, but still with the right foot, finds Forrest at the edge of the box, looks to shoot, and does, but it's blocked by Ferry.
Desperate for that goal, isn't he, Forrest? Desperate for it.
Yeah, well, you know why.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored this season, he scored in all other seasons. Imagine he'll get his chance at some point. He's making his debut back in that 2010-11 season. Scored on his debut against Motherwell and has not looked back.
No, listen, I've got huge admiration for him. Any player in the modern game that stays at a club all his career and contributes.
To be effective for all his career at the one club as well. Here's Johnston as he tries to flick it through to Maida. It's cut out there by Campbell and then given away by Trapanovsky, and Schlupp's onto it wide in the left of the United box. Finds Maida in the underlap. Gets the ball dinked back to Bernardo, who fires over the bar. Controlled with the right, shoots over with the left, and it stays Dundee United 0, Celtic 5, with just over 13 minutes of the 90 to play.
Yeah, Maeda getting in action again, and just obviously that he scores goals, but his assists also is hugely important that time. Really good play to set up Bernardo, and he takes on the volley, just got under it and blasts it over the crossbar. Another chance for Celtic.
Strain own goal, a double from Kuhn before the break, a double from Ida after the break, and Dundee United 5-0 down to Celtic. And despite not playing, Aberdeen have gone above them in the league on goals scored, as they are bang level on points and goal difference now. There's a ball forward by Sibbald, which Johnston will head back to his goalkeeper. Short there to Scales. The only positive from a Dundee United perspective is that it hasn't got worse, because Celtic's fifth came before the hour mark, and it's remained at 5-0 ever since. As Carter Vickers goes back to Sinisalo, midway inside his own half. He plays it short to the left for Scales.
Yeah, it hasn't got worse from a goals perspective, but Celtic have totally controlled the game. Totally. They've just moved the ball around with ease.
McCowan goes back to Scales. I mean, I would say the majority of the Dundee United fans who were here at kickoff have gone home, or perhaps somewhere with some refreshments somewhere, try and blank this game from the memory bank, because this is not one they're going to want to think back at. And I guess if they go to Easter Road and win next week, then all
different story.
It's a completely different story, and they'll probably be hoping, just thinking what they'd want from the game at Pittodrie. They want Aberdeen to win it to keep Hibs in play, or a draw. I'm not sure where they'll sit when it comes to the game at Pittodrie later. And there's the turn from Babunski. He's away from Bernardo. He's got it through to Trapanovski. Well off. He's going to continue to chase it. He's going to shoot. It's going to be saved anyway. Sinisalo. The flag hasn't gone up.
Yeah, I think he's let it go. I think it would have went up if that had to go in the back of the net, because he looked for me about at least a yard offside.
The flag anyway, but the flag didn't go up there. Forrest picks up on the right-hand side. Level with the edge of the centre circle. Into McCowan. Fires it to his left for Bernardo, and then out to Maida on this near side. Level with the edge of the D of the United box. Low ball back there to Schlupp. Finds McCowan. Looking for Maida. Blocked by Strain and cleared. Van der Sande is caught there by Carter Vickers, and that will be a free kick. I know Michael Stewart has been watching this game from the studio in Glasgow, keeping an eye on things, and I guess, as I said there, Michael, attention for United will have to turn to next weekend. For Celtic, attention will turn to the party.
Absolutely, it's certainly a fine way to finish things off from Celtic's perspective, and put the title to bed. It's been very impressive, and as I said, just a continuation from after the St Johnstone game. They banged 5 in, obviously against Kilmarnock straight after it. They banged 5 in against St Johnstone in the Cup, and it's another 5 here this afternoon. It's quite incredible. No let up from Celtic now, and Dundee United, these post-split games are huge, they really are, and the difficulty and the challenge for them now is just to try to put this one to bed as quickly as possible and focus on next week against Hibs.
Yeah, I was just asking the question there, Mikey, what's a good result for United now in the game at Pittodrie, which is now, 45 minutes away?
Yeah, you're obviously posing a couple of different scenarios for them in terms of whether it's a Aberdeen win or a draw. Clearly, the one that isn't what they're wanting is Hibs to go up to Pittodrie and take 3 points and stretch away. I think either of the other results would be, they'd be happy enough with. Aberdeen win, and they're all sitting on that 53-point mark, they'd be on 53, and Dundee United would only be 3 points behind
distance,
them.
Though, yeah,
and with a draw, I mean, look, all of those, the draw or the win for Aberdeen means it's all in play, whereas Hibs win and they go 6 points ahead,
done.
It's difficult, very difficult.
It would look done at that point. The game's just petering out here. 9 minutes of it still to go. Celtic 5-0 up, and as Michael's saying, hitting 5 again, the third successive match since that failure in Perth, which, to be fair, is a bit of an outlier. The one fixture they've struggled with recently has been the Rangers games, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to right that wrong next Sunday when they go to Ibrox. Yeah,
we're going to come into that game in brilliant form. I've got to say, well, it'll be really interesting though, because of the way that sort of template that Rangers have. Here's a chance for Celtic
McCowan,
again.
we're going to dink it to Johnston, right-hand side of the box. Ida's waiting in the middle on a hat-trick, but his ball doesn't get beyond Chevy, who clears out for a Celtic throw-in over on the far side. And he still wouldn't rule Celtic out scoring 2 or 3 more goals at this point.
Yeah, well, there's still 9 minutes to go, and whatever added on time, I don't think there'll be too much added on time, because I can't remember, apart from the substitutions coming on.
Don Robertson might just want to put United out their misery. And Celtic fans are desperate to get the champagne corks popping as Carter Vickers finds McCowan, and Carter Vickers finds Scales. Left of the centre circle in the United half. Low ball forward for Ida. They're going to hold off the defender. Adam Ida gets it to Forrest, right hand side of the box. Forrest onto his left side. His efforts blocked there by Chevy. Breaks to Johnston along the 18-yard line to Forrest and then to McGregor. McGregor goes back to Carter Vickers, who squares it to Scales. Scales has got Maida on the near side, elects to go back to Carter Vickers. It's the ball low to the 18-yard line. Vanida has got his back to goal, holding off the defender, rolling it back to McCowan, but he can't control it, and United get it away.
Yeah, that ball into Aramida's feet again. You know, the space is open up, and they're, and they're playing it in there, and it just was a little bit tight for him to lay somebody in. But that's been a feature in this game since he's come on. He is the target man, and you've got to almost try and keep somebody in front of Aramida to stop that. But then that allows Celtic to free up another player in midfield. Very, very difficult.
Walton is in absolutely no hurry to take this goal kick. Normally that's when you're protecting a lead, but he will not want more goals raining in past them. So second ball's made it onto the pitch from the Celtic supporters behind the goal there. And Walton will eventually get this goal kick taken. And I guess Jim Goodwin will, in this interview after the match, he'll point to the stoppage when the Celtic fans threw the tangerines on the pitch, hundreds of them, it stopped play, and United were the better team at that point. As Scales heads it back to Sinisalo under pressure from Kapanovski, the goalkeeper's onto it.
He will. No, listen, that was a 15-minute period that Dundee United did everything probably the manager wanted them to do. You know, press high, get balls into the box, create half opportunities, but put a bit of risk into Celtic, and then that stoppage changed it.
Sloop at the edge of the box, couldn't find Bernardo. Chevy will be able to clear here. Look, Celtic would have probably clicked into gear anyway, regardless of that stoppage.
I think they would. I think eventually they would find a solution to it.
It's Forrest from McCowan, midway inside the United half, to Forrest, to Johnston on the overlap. Low ball in early, Maida flicks for goal, and Strain clears.
Yeah, he got across the defender there, Maida. It was a little bit tight for him to squeeze in the near post, so he elected to try to flick it, and it didn't come off. But Celtic on the attack again.
Alan McGregor at the edge of the box, rolls it to the right for Johnston. Johnston at the byline, hangs it to the back post for Maida to try and control with the right foot, but he's put it behind for the goal kick. He's not managed a goal today, Dyson Maida. In what's been a goal-laden season for him. He's on 33. He did manage a couple of assists. He set up both Kuhn's goals in the first half. So 33 goals and 11 assists for Dyson Maida this season. 44 goals he's been involved in all competition.
I think the assists also is the big thing. You know what I mean? Like, he plays on the left, he plays through the middle, but setting up his teammates.
I thought you were going to start singing there.
No, that is gone, long gone, Liam. Let me tell you, how many players from the Celtic team is in double figures?
Seven.
Seven.
Yeah,
which is
7
incredible.
of them. And they might have a few beyond 20 by the end of the campaign. How can you possibly live with that? If there's a team in your league where 3 players go over the 20 goal mark, Maida's in 33, Ida would be the next to breach 20. Kuhn breached it today. So 33 for Maida, 20 for Kuhn, Ida's on 17.
Well, let me tell you, in the early days when I got into team first, we started winning a few things up against good opposition. Charlie Nicholas was well up on nearly 50 goals, or did he get 50 goals? Fran McGarvey had 30 goals, you know, and then there was others that joined in, but those were the 2 prolific scorers for us.
Strain with the free kick for United, headed away by Carter Vickers, controlled by Babunski. Back onto the halfway line here for Ferry. Good ball out to the left. United looking for a bit of consolation here. And it's Chapanovsky got through the legs of the defender initially. Flag's gone up anyway. Celtic will play on with an advantage with Bernardo coming forward. We've got just about 3 minutes of the 90 to play. I believe 3 are going to get added on at the end. So 6 minutes away are Celtic from achieving their main goal at the start of the season, and it's going to come after the first post-split match. Scales for Bernardo, left-hand side of the box for Maida, the left angle, finds Bernardo, and then to Maida, and Maida will roll it back to Scales.
It's difficult too when you're 5-0 up, and you know your fans be looking for them to maybe go and create something else, but to keep the ball, and you just can't get it off them, then they manage the game out. So
it's verging on cruelty at times when Celtic are in this position and you're a player up against them, and it's cruel. I mean, the gap is totally exposed. Johnston goes to Carter Vickers and then to Scales in the centre circle. Out to Sloop on this near side. He spins away from Trapanovsky and rolls it back to Sinisalo at the edge of his box. Short forward there to McGregor. Thinks it over the head of Johnston. I'm sure Johnston was the intended target. It's dropped to Forrest anyway. And goes back to Carter Vickers. Midway inside his own half. Forward to Luke McCowan. And sub goes back.
The one thing you got to say that Brendan has, he's brought players into the team that are all so technically gifted, and they're all able to move that ball, pass that ball. They're all fit, and it just flows when they're in this vein of form.
There's Maida, wide in the left, level with the United penalty spot, knocks it back to Sloop. They'll roll it with the left foot to McCowan. The referee had to jump over the ball there as United win it back the edge of their own box. Celtic win it back double quick time though. Sybil blocks Maida's pass in the middle of the pitch. Van der Sande off Scales and out for a United throw-in on this near side. Well, Jim Goodwin must have feared the worst when that fifth goal went in on 59 minutes.
Yeah, first goal again is so important. We talk about it all the time, especially when you're playing against Celtic. You've got to stay in the game, or you've got to try to get the goal yourself. Don't allow Celtic to get an opening goal. Otherwise you're going to be under severe pressure. And it comes from a set piece, which is again a disappointment for Jim Goodwin.
Ferry holding off Forrest just outside the centre circle in his own half, gives it straight to Sloop on this near side. His touch takes it forward. Adebayega's there. Maida's won it back off him. Of course he has. Ball in field looking for Bernardo. Goes straight to Sybil though. Breaks to Adebayega on the turn. He clears only as far as Jeffrey Sloop, who has it up towards the edge of the United box. The Celtic fans shout man on. Sloop retains it, finds Bernardo, plays it off Van der Sande and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. And we're getting very close to the stoppages, which, as I said, sounded as though there's going to be 3 minutes added. That's just about to be confirmed. It is 3. Celtic have at the edge of the box with Forrest. Couldn't quite get the space to get the shot away, and it's cleared by Chevy. Van der Sande fouled by Scales. Free kick United right of the centre circle. So we're into the first of 3 minutes of stoppage time. Once that's over, Celtic will be champions, and Dundee United will have to refocus on Hibs next week and hope for a positive result for them from Pittodrie later on.
Listen, it's been a long season for Celtic, but they're in a position now where they can celebrate. Pressure's off them. We've got a cup final to play also, could be a treble, but you know, when I look back in the season, there will be times when he said these are important results. The one away to Aberdeen, I think 1-0 in December when it was a really tough day, strong ones, and Hattadi comes up with a big goal. Those are championship winning games. It's not this type of game maybe at the end of a season. It's the ones during the season when you're up against it.
Johnston back to Sinisalo, who clears. Bounces over Forrest. Campbell loses it though. Combination of McCowan and Forrest win it back for Celtic. It's now with McGregor. Celtic 5-0 up, looking for a 6th before full time. Sloop out to the left hand side here for Maida, taking on strain. It's now level with the penalty spot as he turns facing his own goal. Finds Sloop, back to Maida, back to McGregor, and then back to the halfway line for Scales. Now Carter Vickers, short to Johnston, and then to Scales again. Forward to Bernardo, and then McGregor to Bernardo. He's got space, so he rolls it into the box for Ida. Ida on the turn, blocked by Chevy. Hat-trick's not come for him yet. Here's Forrest. Forrest through to Ida, back to Forrest, just the edge of the box, then to Ida. Ida rolls it to Forrest on his left side. The Celtic runs desperate for him to get in the score sheet. It's to roll it back to Sloop, and now with Maida. Maida's ball forward to Sloop's cut out there by Strain, who then gets the ball clear. In the final minute of stoppage time, 5-0 Celtic.
A really commanding performance from him. Dominated the game, apart from that first opening 15 minutes. And to score 5 goals, it's incredible.
Sinisalo short to Carter Vickers, and then he rolls it to his left for Scales. And then Bernardo Now Schloop infield to Bernardo. Don Robertson's had a look at his watch. The final whistle will go any second now. Celtic will officially be champions again.
That's it.
There's a whistle to lips, and that is it! It is 4 titles in a row for Celtic, who are confirmed as champions on Tayside. Not for the first time. And another excellent performance from them. A 5-0 rout of Dundee United, who are still chasing Europe. As Jim Goodwin makes his way towards the tunnel, and the United supporters can't get out of Tannadice quickly enough. An own goal from Ryan Strain got Celtic on their way on the half hour. A double from Kuhn before half-time and a double from Ida after half-time, with the 5th arriving before the hour mark. It didn't get any worse than that for Dundee United, mercifully from their point of view. And for Celtic, it was just oh so simple in the end. It's another title. It is their 5th championship. It's their 4th in a row. It's their 13th in the last 14 seasons. Brendan Rodgers is now the 3rd most successful Celtic manager in the club's history. Behind only Mealy and Steen, he goes above Lennon with this success. And what about James Forrest? A 26th major honour. Nobody in Celtic's long and illustrious history has accumulated more winners' medals than he. He's gone above Bobby Lennox, and he stands alone at the top of Celtic Football Club's honours list. It's quite remarkable. 16 seasons at the club, and what a moment it must be for him personally, and for Celtic collectively. It is emphatic, it is ruthless, it is Celtic. Dundee United 0, Celtic 5, Celtic champions again.